Hi everybody, it's Irene with BrainStormAcres. And this morning we're going to answer the question, are our greens toast? Now if you've been following us for a little while, you'll know that we have been eating lettuce, specifically Salanova and a couple of other smaller varieties from the lettuce boxes, and also cabbage and all kinds of other things all winter. And we have finally reached a point where some of the lettuce is toast. Back in, I think it was December, our romaine bolted. And this, as you can see, is romaine, and it is baby romaine. We've had one or two leaves off of it, but mostly I'm letting it grow for a while. We do still have Salanova here, but some of it is obviously past its best if used by date now. This in particular here is super bitter. Yeah. Woo! So it's time to remove some of this green sweet. Crisp, yes. And look at what else we have. Now this is going to look funny because this is a PVC pipe cutter, but to be honest, this stem in here is a monster, and this is the easiest way for me to just plain shear this thing out of here without risking damaging anything else. Now this lettuce has grown like crazy just this past week, but I noticed that it was growing funky. Let me see if I can get in here tight. You can see the center of it here has got this weirdness to it, and I suppose if I let this go, it would probably go to seed, but I don't have the room in my garden to do that sort of thing, so she is toast. Now we'll see who else is okay in here. I know that these guys are fine. They look not wonderful, but we ate often off them just last night, and they're perfectly fine. This one we also had some lettuce off of last night. I want to double check it. Yeah, it's not as sweet as it used to be, but it's still fine. This one, I have a suspicion, is bitter. And surprisingly, that one is, that one is fine. I kind of thought it was going over the hill. Let's check this one. Actually, these two are perfectly fine. They're a little less bitter than that one is, but these are all still edible. And these, although they look funny, are perfectly edible. Okay, so that's not quite as bad as I thought it was. I actually thought I was going to have to pull this guy too. We'll see. He's not produced any weird center things like that other one has yet, so, and it's not showing any signs of it either. So okay, I guess we're okay for a while later. That's cool. I'm good with that. We've been eating a huge number of salads, and it's been really wonderful. No recalls, no concerns. You could decide whether you wanted it or not, and if you didn't want it, you didn't pick it. So let's look at the rest of our greens. This is one of our Swiss chard and cabbage beds. We've harvested quite a few cabbage out of here. These have some damage on them, but they're growing still well. In fact, the heads have probably doubled in the last week or so. And there's some messiness in here that doesn't make it look great, but there's still a lot of perfectly good Swiss chard in here. So all I need to do in this bed is pull out a few of the crummy looking ones, and we're perfectly fine. Now, on to the pak choi and other Asian greens. I know there are some issues going on down here, but they're not all what you might think. We have been losing a few leaves on these. They got a little too dry the other day, and all I do is pop them off, and they're perfectly fine. But this pak choi is sprouting. so it's bolting. None of the others are showing any signs of bolting, but my intention still this week is to make some soup with a bunch of the pak choi. As you can see, this has now developed a center bit to it. Let me see, I'm curious to how bitter these are. You know, that pak choi is still quite edible. You could even eat that in a salad if you want, but what I'll need to do is I'll need to go ahead and pick this guy and hold him, and he will be part of the pak choi soup this week. And that way he won't get any more bitter. But that's not bad at all. I actually thought it would be a lot less appetizing. Now we have something else in here that looks an awful lot like that, but it's not at all. And that's kind of interesting. These are the Asian greens that I harvested the other day, and you'll notice that they have the same sort of spikes on them that pak choi did. The difference is this is the part of the plant you eat. We can eat these regular leaves too, and I probably will eat a few, but not immediately. I'm waiting for my secondary planting to come to fruition. These pak choi have a little bit of burn on the end of a couple of the leaves. I think they got wet and then got sunburned basically. These guys are doing great, and this is the edible part that is so yummy. I'm really looking forward to those, and I will be harvesting them probably just as they start to open. They recommend if you're harvesting to sell that you harvest them just before they open, but if they actually eat them with them open, so the whole point is to give you some shelf life when you get it to the farmer's market or whatever. Here we have the kohlrabi and we have the spinach. Now you'll notice all the big leaves are gone. We had a very nice spinach salad the other night. That's where they went. The new tray of spinach is just starting to develop some true leaves, and I may replant one of the rows there. It just didn't grow the way I'd hoped it would. But some of our kohlrabis are getting humongous. I actually missed picking these spinach back here the other day. I had enough from the other and I kind of left it go. I need to pick those. You'll see how humongous this is. I mean, it's not gigantic by field standards, but you know, for being in the greenhouse and stuff, I'm pretty happy with that. This box over here used to be our beets, golden beets. Pulled those out because they just were not doing well. They had been too badly damaged, and I was listening to Travis over at Hoss Tools, and he reminded me of something that I have a really hard time with, and that is sometimes you need to give up on a plant and make it go away. And that's what I did. I decided I pulled a bunch of them. I had Henry taste them. He said the flavor was decent, but the even the small ones were really sort of pithy and fibrous. So, okay, let's pull them. And you'll see all these new seedlings in here. These are all Asian greens. So we have great hopes that this will produce mightily once it gets going. I am going to fertilize today with some 20-20-20 just to give them a little bit of a kick. And these are our radishes. I have one radish in there I need to pull for Henry. He'll have more probably next week. Actually, that one too. There's 2 radishes for him. Maybe 3. Yeah. Anyway, so this is coming along nicely. So very pleased with this one. This has been kind of a mixed bag. It suffered a bunch of issues. It's gotten dried out too much a couple of times. It got sunburned at least once. It's had a rough winter. I am planning to start harvesting the pak choi fairly heavily. I need to probably restart some new ones and get them coming in behind here because we had such a rough winter in terms of the sheer coldness. I mean, it was 14 degrees this morning, and we were able to keep the greenhouse 35 last night, I think, which isn't bad. The pak choi doesn't have any problems with that. They're just not as happy as they would be if it was just a little warmer. And one of the problems is during the day, it can get to be 80, 90 degrees in here. It's 70 degrees in here right now, and it's like 24 outside. I have transplanted a few of the cabbage into the cabbage buckets. These 2 here were both transplanted in, and they have more than doubled since they got in there. This little guys here are oak leaf lettuce, and that little guy over there is a romaine. Again, if you follow us, you'll know that Digwell Greenfingers gave us some seeds, and these two little romaines here are his. So the other one he gave me did not come up, but that may have been cockpit error on my part. The seeds were planted properly, and one of the days when I was watering it, the rose on the end of the watering can fell off and washed that section out pretty badly. So I don't even know where the seeds are. They could still be in there, but they may be too deep now. So I may replant those because that's not supposed to happen. These are older lettuce, and these have actually, they were actually bigger, but I've been harvesting them. I didn't have a place to put them that was really good. I'm thinking that if we harvest this cabbage this week, I might plant a couple more of those in here. They've been delicious, and again, I'm totally amazed at the fact that they've done as well as they have. This over here is mosh. I was pronouncing it incorrectly before I looked it up. It was one of those random buys that I just decided to go for in a catalog because I was looking for different greens, and it turns out that mosh is actually like a specialty lettuce in some parts of the world. Here are tiara, and we're not 100%, but those may be tiara too. There was a mix-up with some of the labels, which is totally against my religion, but it happens sometimes. And that's why I have a whole new stack of labels from Haas Tools, and also I found a whole stack of popsicle sticks left over from when the kids used to do artsy craftsy stuff. So there will be plenty of labels this year. I really, really hate it when I'm not sure what something is. Sometimes it's not super critical for people, but a lot of times for me, because I'm working with limited space, I need to know whether a plant is going to grow big or not or whatever. And at what point I should just give up on it and harvest it and use it for what I can. So I was hoping, one experiment that I'm not totally enamored of, I didn't think it worked out that well, was I totally overplanted my cabbage this fall. And I put a bunch of storage cabbage into these larger pots, hoping that that might be enough to get them to grow. And the answer is not really. But they really need more root system. I had kind of forgotten the rules and regs of which plants produce humongous root systems, and cabbages are one of them. So while the pak choi will actually grow well enough in these solo cups to produce a good plant, and probably would do really great in these, the full-size cabbage don't, and I won't do that again. So lesson learned. In general, I am psyched. I am psyched. We managed to reduce pak choi and lettuce and Swiss chard and cabbage all winter. It's now February, beginning of February. Our last day of frost is not until May 15th. We are getting totally conflicting answers as to what our spring is going to be like. It depends on who you listen to and what day of the week, and honest to gosh, I really don't think they know. We are currently in another deep freeze environment where we're getting mid to low teens at night, every single night. And it's going to be that way for a couple more days, and then we're supposed to get a little warmer, but we're supposed to get snow. So I don't know. It's really hard to know what's going to be happening. Well, I guess that about does it for today. Thought it would be nice to catch up on what was going on in the greenhouse, and hopefully inspire somebody to try growing some greens themselves. Recently, I've seen a couple of people take just the bottom trays like these that you would use for growing, for keeping your plants watered in a greenhouse or in a household environment for that matter, and fill them with dirt and grow lettuce seeds. Lettuce does not take a lot of room, it doesn't take a lot of sun, it doesn't take a lot of fancy stuff. So grow something, give it a try, experiment, keep good records so you know what you tried. Not everything works well. As I said, we're very pleased with some of the things we did. Some of the other things we're going to do differently next year. We've learned our lessons, we're writing it down, we're keeping a record. So that next fall when we go, gee, what did we plant here? Gee, I don't remember, there were so many plants. No, we won't have that problem. I'll go back to my book and I'll be able to say, we planted this, that worked. We planted that, it didn't work. Keep on growing, keep on going and learning. And until next time, have a great week. Bye.